How to bring back the youth in agriculture and banish the hoe to the museum. I must gratefully acknowledge that the theme has been largely inspired by a short but enlightening piece written by Dr. Richard Jones in the newsletter published by the Alliance for Green Revolution in Africa, AGRA. Dr. Jones has been the chief of party for the Scaling Seeds and Technology Partnership SSTP under the Feed the Future program of USAID and is an internationally acclaimed agronomist now based in UK. What is one most important concern in the realm of agriculture in Asia and Africa? It is undoubtedly the unwillingness of youth to pursue agriculture as a career and vocation. The average age of an African farmer is 60 years. And what is more galling is the fact that 60% of Africa's population is less than 24 years of age. In India, the average age of farmer is 50 years, while around 50% of its 1.3 billion population is around 25 years of age. That gives rise to a couple of inescapable conclusions. Firstly, the agriculture is being managed by old people. Secondly, the youth is disenchanted with the prospect of working in the fields and is moving away to towns and cities in search of gainful employment. The tragedy is that in Africa, and to some extent in India, cities already face a problem of urban unemployment, and the prospect of no jobs leaves the youth to resort to crime and violence. Many countries in Africa suffer from these maladies. The situation is an ideal recipe for social unrest. If we add to this the context of the pandemic, the recent pandemic of COVID-19, then the situation seems almost surreal. As part of the recent World Bank report, the pandemic of COVID is pushing many countries from recession to depression. Never before in the history, the concern for food security has been felt so acutely and badly as being felt now. As per one report by the Alliance for Green Revolution in Africa, around 15 countries in Africa are considered as hunger hotspots. These are Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger, Sierra Leone, Liberia, Nigeria, Cameroon, Central African Republic, DRC, Sudan, Ethiopia, Somalia, South Sudan, and Zimbabwe. As per a new Oxfam report published in July 2020, travel restrictions left farmers without vital migrant labor at the peak of the harvest season, forcing many to leave their crops in the field to rot. Traders have also been unable to reach tribal communities during the peak harvest season for forest products, depriving up to 100 million people of their main source of income. The lack of suitable job opportunities, coupled with the economic crisis, is a deadly and potent combination for social unrest. We all know the genesis of the Arab Spring that spread across much of the Arab world and engulfed many countries. Social unrest resulting from lack of gainful employment and the class divide were some of the major reasons of the movement. We all know by now hunger as a resultant of job loss and fear of health and well-being results in deep anger, frustration, and mass exodus of workforce. That is often the genesis of social unrest. It is in these contexts one has to examine how the youth can be attracted towards agriculture, keeping in mind the strategic as well as the tactical objectives of ensuring food security, social harmony, and making the agriculture look young. Today, the youth, irrespective of his location, is reasonably tech savvy. He can use his phone to draw money. There are enough replications of the M-Pesa model of Kenya all across. He or she can send and receive messages. His access to information is instantaneous. Information availability about weather, climate conditions, quality inputs, harvesting, etc. are affordable, flexible, and automated ways of managing agribusiness. I would like to mention a company in this context, eProd, headquartered in Kenya, which is active in this space. They are into creating comprehensive farmer profiles, managing farmer transactions, creating several useful reports to the farming community, thereby improving farm productivity significantly. Piggybacking on the interest of the youth in technology could be the starting point for gradual mechanization. For example, we now know that one tractor can create around 8 jobs. Companies like Hello Tractor in Nigeria have introduced innovative tractor hiring services. Since many smallholder farmers lack collateral for investments in machinery, hiring services offers an alternative that allows the smallholder farmer to increase their productivity, yields, and income while avoiding the high financial burdens and risks. An Indian company which is into tractor manufacturing named Escorts has created a tractor exclusively to be driven by females. Now this is significant given the fact that roughly over 40% of agriculture work is shared by women labor. Usually farming imagery that has been imprinted in our minds has a template of poverty, old farmers, suicides, starvation, locust attacks, and diseases. We need to change this imagery with vibrant and youthful one. In this context, the role of media, the non-governmental organizations, the donor agencies, the governmental agencies is very crucial. Syngenta, the well-known agri-input company and now part of ChemChina, through its foundation has been doing commendable work for empowering the youth and rural entrepreneurship. Another example that comes to my mind is of Guinness Nigeria, which has a Learning for Life program in Nigeria for the youth in Lagos and Edo states. More such efforts are needed in Pan-Africa and Asia to create a positive image of youth. Relatively few students choose to study agriculture, perhaps in part because the quality of agriculture training is mixed. Taught materials need to be linked to advances in technology, facilitate innovation, and have greater relevance to a diverse and evolving agriculture sector with a focus on agribusiness and entrepreneurship. Beyond technical skills, building capacity for management, decision making, communication, and leadership should also be central to higher education. Reforms to agricultural tertiary education should be designed for young people, and as such, the process requires their direct engagement. In my company, EcoDev, we are actively engaged in identifying rural entrepreneurship and creating pockets of excellence of smallholder farmers as clusters. As I mentioned earlier, technological changes that are sweeping in nature and have affected almost every sphere of our waking life and working life. Farmers are no exceptions. More and more ICT-enabled tools must be reaching them, which will not only make their life easier, but it will also help in attracting youth to agriculture. Again, I would like to quote the example of the company eProd. Through their ICT products, they are able to achieve several objectives like organizing farmers in groups, getting their databases covered, enabling quality-based payments, flexible loan modeling allowing companies to efficiently manage harvest advances, input loans, asset finances, and so on. Here I would like to draw the attention about youth representation in national forums. I have, much to my dismay, noted that in framing policies that affect the youth, there is no participation of youth. Often it is 65 plus elders decide what is good for the youth. While experience has its value, the voice of the youth on issues that affect them has to be heard in agri forums. Frequent youth conclaves and seminars will attract youth to opt for agriculture and agriculture science as a subject for learning. In India, we have seen the mad rush of students to go for either engineering or medical courses. When they do not get admission, only then the other courses are opted as the last recourse. Agriculture and vocational courses are the choices that come at the bottom of the pyramid. This mindset needs an overhaul. Here, the role of universities and research institutions also needs to be critically examined. More often, the research publications are not applied in nature but purely academic. It is not uncommon to see a professor waxing eloquently about agriculture without dirtying his hands on the fields. Lack of credit for deserving farmers is a major concern in agriculture. Many times, the loans are given to those having political muscle and who really do not need it. The banks work like blinkered horses, doing a very linear, standard, straightforward due diligence of the borrower. If the borrower does not have collateral or borrowing history or borrowing defaults, they are straightaway rejected. There is need to determine the psychological creditworthiness of the borrower. At EcoDev, our company, we have developed psychometric profiling instruments that accurately predicts the intention and the willingness of the farmer to repay the loans. We are able to predict the honesty, integrity, and truthfulness in the character of the borrower, which goes a long way in determining whether he has the intention to pay the loan or jump the loan. This assessment needs to be factored in along with the due diligence that banks usually carry out. Here I must mention the great work done by a bank in Tanzania, Akiba Commercial Bank. It has been serving the needs of the poorest, hitherto unbanked people, many of them smallhold farmers in Tanzania. How do we make agriculture sexy and profitable? This is an easy statement to make, but difficult one to realize. Low yields and market failures in Africa reduce the potential of agriculture to be profitable and to provide people with a chance of escaping poverty and improving their quality of life. Making agriculture profitable requires that the costs of farming and doing business are reduced, while at the same time productivity increases. Although large-scale commercial farming springs to mind, this is not necessarily the case, and small farms can be highly productive with low arbitrage of labor costs. Of course, all of these solutions come with their own hurdles: access to education and technologies, rural development, land rights, etc. But let me remind the viewers that Africa and Asia has the highest number of youth in the whole world and some of the most fertile soils. The two combined could be a force to promote agriculture development. Foregoing engaging youth in agriculture and the potential for transformation this could bring, because the complexities of modernizing agriculture would be a huge opportunity lost. Thank you.